When you've been lying about something for so long, it becomes second nature. You think you're gonna get the truth in a town like this? When you've been lying about something for so long, it becomes second nature.
Do you see the beauty of it? The inevitability. You rise, only to fall. You, Avengers, you are my meteor, my swift and terrible sword, and the earth will crack with the weight of your failure. Purge me from your computers, turn my own flesh against me. It means nothing. When the dust settles, the only thing living in this world will be metal.
You remember me?
How you doing tonight?
Doing well, officer.
Can I see your driver's license, registration, and insurance, please?
Of course. My license is right here, my wallet. It's all right, son. You remember the night in July?
Hands up!
Hey! Wait! Put the phone down! Put that phone! Sir, it's a phone! It's a cell phone! It's just a cell phone! You knew he was unarmed.
Get to the car and put your hands in the air! Officer, please, he's just a kid!
You pointed your gun at him. Okay, get out of the car, son. Easy. You pulled the trigger.
Put the phone away! Put the phone away!
The grand jury determined that no probable cause exists to file any charges against Officer Randall.
This is my son. This is my little boy. You took that from me. The world took that from me. Today we make that right. Hear me when I say this, because I'm only going to say it once. Don't stop filming.
You should just give up now.
Why are we the only people in this country that are expected to do things without violence?
I didn't mean to kill your son!
What you did.
I did what I was trying to do!
I just want justice. That's all I want. This is your jury. The deciders of your fate. Today, you will be tried for the murder of my son. You scared? Are you afraid?
So begins the end.
Now, all you black folks, I suggest you get away from all these white folks. Not you, Steve. You're right where you belong.
When he raised him from the dead and set him at his own right hand in the heavenly places, far above all principality, there's where Christ is seated. Far above all principality and power, and the princes of this world that come to naught. I can show it to you from some of the translation. You can look at it from the Amplified Version. See what it says? Malakosaparaga. I love this one. It says, yet, when we are among the full-grown, spiritually mature Christians who are ripe in understanding, we do impart a higher wisdom, the knowledge of the divine plan previously hidden, but it is indeed not a wisdom of this present age or of this world, nor of the leaders and rulers of this age who are being brought to nothing and are doomed to pass away. They are being brought to nothing.
So if you watch the video that we just played to you, we showed you that the so-called Holy Spirit is the vagina of a very wicked woman, which was part of the Trinity. And as we've said, We'll explain all that in the shape of a world. This is not the video for it. Anybody who's in Christianity, who actually studies the history of Christianity, will know about this woman that's called the Holy Mother of God. All right? The word God then means Satan. Satan in there, they're saying Holy Mother of God does not mean Satan as in Satan. We'll explain that on the shape of a world. So anybody who's a pastor who's deeply into studying and going into the so-called higher schools of learning, all right, about Christianity will find out at some point in time that there actually existed a woman who was known as the Mother of God. Now, Satan always tries to use truth and mix it with lies. Because when somebody hears Holy Mother of God, if they do not know their history, they will think that it is correct. But this is not the case. This woman that's known as the Mother of God existed right after the flood. So right after Noah, all right, about 3 generations or 4 generations down, this woman existed. And she started what is called Mystery Babylon. All right? Is this Mystery Babylon that you read about in the book of Revelation, that the Creator says everybody who is his child, who seeks after him, should come out of it. Because this Babylonian doctrine is what runs the world today. With Satan, Yeshua, known as Yeshua, at the head, giving all power to this doctrine and worship in the Babylonian system brought about by the woman called Mother of God. So if you worship this woman, you have the power of Satan, and you must do accordingly as she did, which we're not going to get into right now. But here we want to show you that Chris Oyakhilome of Believers Love World knows exactly about this woman. Why? If you look at this stage right here, pay particular attention to this stage. This is the shape of a woman's vagina, and the pillars around here, right, of the Doric order of the Romans. I don't want to go into too much Freemasonic language right here. If you've heard that one time, then that's fine. But these pillars right here all represent a woman's thighs, and right here is the vagina. See this? Because if he just wanted to create a stage, there's no need for him to put this circle in here and then put this outer pillar or circular pillar right here on the outside. Why? Because that's an indication of a woman's thighs. Because if a woman spreads her thighs, this is exactly what you're going to see. The vagina right here and the thighs, the outer labia from the side on the side. So this man is deeply into the occult of the worship of the Trinity, which has been told and shared to us is the worship of the Creator, created by Christianity, because it's only in Christianity that you see the Trinity. When you go to the New Testament, you see Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. When you go to the Old Testament, you don't see anything like that. You only see the Creator, because the New Testament was fabricated by white supremacists and brought to the world. Because why? Let me say, for example, that you're an albino, okay? And you know that you were born of inbreeding. And the very first commandment which they changed, which we're going to show you, says, you shall not inbreed. And black people knew that when they see an albino, it means the person is born of inbreeding. And you come to them with that Bible that says you shall not inbreed. Do you think that any black person will listen to you? Oh no. But here's another concept now. Supposing you create a New Testament, all right? And you say, love everybody, forgive everybody. If somebody slaps you on the right cheek, turn the left cheek and let him slap you. If someone takes your coat, give him your shirt, all right? And you take this same Bible and you go into a black neighborhood in which you have homosexuals, pedophiles, all right? You have murderers. You have people who commit bestiality. You have people who kill and steal. And you preach to them and say the Creator says that all people are forgiven, that you should come unto them. What did you just imbibe? You brought in thieves, homosexuals, all right? People who commit bestiality, rapists into your fold. And then you groom these people with that mindset. And you send them forth to be your soldiers. You send them forth to be your businessmen. You send them forth to be your celebrities. You send them forth to be everybody in a place of influence. What did you just do? You increased and you blessed all abominations. That is what white supremacists did to run the world. Do you get that now? So if you're deep into the occult, because Chris Oyakhilome is all around the world, he has television stations, he's almost in every nation. For you to get to that level, you need to rub minds with other people of your nature, and that you are going to find the truth. That this is what they do. They worship the Trinity. Because it does not matter if the person says, I am a Muslim, and he's a leader. They all worship the Trinity. If you go deep into Islam, you will find out that it's about the Trinity. Why? Because Islam was created by Christianity. And Hinduism created Christianity. So that is how it works. So all these pagan religions, even the religions in Africa, they all worship the Trinity. In Africa, they call this Trinity the Great Goddess. It comes in so many different names. The Greeks worshipped this woman. So that means, for example, you hear the names such as any of the Greek gods or Roman gods that's female, or Colombia. As you see that Colombia is in America, or the Statue of Liberty, this is the same person, the same Mother of God. All right? The vagina of the Mother of God, which they worship. Now let's move this video a little bit more so you can see what's going on, because this man called Chris Oyakhilome deeply knows that. Because as you can see right here, this is a woman's thigh spread out. Now those who go to his church, the Synagogue of Satan, will know that, because the reason why nobody knows any of these things is because history has been wiped away from the minds of people. Nobody is interested in history. If you ask someone right now, what was your father, your great-grandfather's name 10 generations ago, they wouldn't know it. They wouldn't even know who was their grandfather like 2 generations before. They wouldn't know it. What did he do? If you ask them, what did your grandfather do? If you say you knew him, they wouldn't know. Where did he live? Nobody knows. Why? This is the exact idea that as long as you do not know your history, you do not know who you are. So as long as you do not know history, all right, you are nothing but in servitude to Satan. And the people who know it are the people at the top, because they know exactly what they're doing. Now, some wicked people will listen to what I'm saying right here and say, oh, really? I'm going to go worship the great goddess too, and worship this woman so that you can have money, prestige, and all that. Because that's how the wicked think. But let's move this video a little bit and show you that Chris Oyakhilome knows exactly that he is worshiping the vagina of the great goddess, because the chair that he sits in here is right in the middle of this vaginal opening that he has on his stage in symbology, which none of the church members, the wicked public who go there, don't know, because they refuse common sense, logic, and reasoning. So here's another shot of the stage to show you that Chris Oyakhilome knows exactly what this stage is about. Because if you can see right here, this is the chair. Only him sits in this chair. This chair is right in the middle of this vaginal opening that he has on his stage. Now ask me of all reasons why. Why would he choose such a design? Because like I've said, It's one thing for you to have this circle. It's another thing for you to have these pillars right here over this vaginal opening. Because it's showing that this is a woman's thighs. And see the way it's spread out? The pillars here are longer and they get smaller as it goes towards the end. Because this is all symbolic of a woman's thighs. If you're a woman, because we can't show this on the screen right now. I wish we could show that. If you're a woman and you spread your legs, this is exactly what you will see. Because Christianity is not in the worship of the Creator. It's in the worship of the great harlot. Now, people, I want you to understand this. There's a difference between the word whore and harlot. All right? I want you to pay attention to this. Whore is a woman who sleeps around for money. A harlot is not one and the same thing. We'll explain that furthermore in the shape of a world, but not in this video. But going back to what we were saying in the book of Revelation, that this is the woman that the Creator said, come and let me show you the great harlot, the one which the kings of the earth have committed abominations with. Why? Because for you to be a great leader in this world, you have to worship the Trinity. Doesn't matter what religion or what name it comes in, it's still the same old worship, age-old worship of Satan in the Trinity. All right, let's continue on.
The year was 1885. The day, June 17th, when one of the greatest symbols of our nation's freedom, the Statue of Liberty, first sailed into the New York harbor. For almost 130 years, she has stood as a beacon, a sign of hope, and an enduring symbol of the American dream. She has welcomed countless immigrants, and millions come to see her every year. Safe to say, we all love her, and for the most part, we think we know her. But do we? Come on, let's go to Amy Holmes from Real News.
Hey, Raj.
How are
Welcome.
you?
Good to see you.
Now,
Lady Liberty, quite spectacular.
tell me about her.
She was a gift to the United States from France as a sign of international friendship and put in the New York harbor to welcome immigrants coming to our shores. At that time, back in 1876, when she was first sculpted, that meant a lot of Western Europeans who were coming across the Atlantic, and their first stop often was New York.
So who designed her, who built her? Tell me some of that kind of stuff.
Sure. So a Frenchman named Frederick Auguste Bartholdi designed the Statue of Liberty. And something that I read that was fascinating is her copper skin that he sculpted her out of is actually thinner than 2 pennies. So you look at the Statue of Liberty,
Really?
you think like it must be so heavy, which of course it is, but the actual material that he used is very supple copper that then turned brown and then became green because of the oxidation process. So she actually started out a different color. Isn't that funny?
I think that's an interesting thing because I always just assume that the Statue of Liberty, she's green.
No, she started out like a copper penny. So her outer shell, that thin membrane, that was sculpted by the Frenchman Bartholdi, but her inside structure was created by a Frenchman named Eiffel, and perhaps you know him from the Eiffel Tower. So how were they going to get this huge statue to stay up? Well, they went to Eiffel to engineer it and figure it out.
So how did it end up in New York?
Well, it was shipped across the Atlantic with the intention of being a gift of America's 100th birthday to celebrate July 4th, 1776, when we declared our independence. It got here a little late, about 10 years later, and was finally erected on Liberty Island in 1886. Now, coming across the ocean, it took 350 individual pieces.
Coming across the ocean, it took 350 individual pieces.
Coming across the ocean, it took 350 individual pieces
Packed in over 200 crates to get her from France to the United States. So you can understand why it took some time to get her up on that pedestal.
So aside from just the staggering size of the statue is the symbolism. The symbolism is cool. And it seems like
is.
almost every little nook and cranny has some sort of symbolism
Yes,
attached to it.
the sculptor was very thoughtful in all of the different elements that he chose. So of course there's the torch, which we're also familiar with, that is a symbol of liberty and light and enlightening the world. Then you have the Statue of Liberty's crown with 7 points on it. Those 7 rays of the sun are actually the 7 seas and the 7 continents of the whole world.
Then you have the Statue of Liberty's crown with 7 points on it. Those 7 rays of the sun are actually the 7 seas and the 7 continents of the whole world.
Then you have the Statue of Liberty's crown with 7 points on it. Those 7 rays of the sun are actually the 7 seas and the 7 continents of the whole world.
I did not know that.
I had no idea either. All of these little details, even down to the shoes that she's wearing.
Really?
Yes, so the Statue of Liberty is wearing sandals, and those sandals are a symbol of free people, sort of the common man wearing sandals, and around her feet are broken chains and shackles to represent, again, American freedom. And it's all over the statue that there are all these really neat symbols.
How, if at all, has she been altered since she was first put up?
So the first real reconstruction was in 1916 during World War I, and that's when some German saboteurs, they exploded munitions on an island near the statue, and it did damage to the statue, in particular the torch. So we had to go and repair the torch, but what's kind of interesting and maybe a little sad is the torch has been closed to anybody being able to go in it ever since. And then after the World Trade Center disaster in 2001, Lady Liberty's was actually closed for 3 years.
And then after the World Trade Center disaster in 2001, Lady Liberty's was actually closed for 3 years.
And then after the World Trade Center disaster in 2001, Lady Liberty's was actually closed for 3 years.
And I don't know if you remember, there was scaffolding all around it. It was really interesting. So they were doing work on her just as recently as a little over 10 years ago.
So it's kind of the story of America in this one little statue, because you've had World War I affected, the September 11th affected, Hurricane Sandy affected.
Sandy, exactly. And yet there she is, standing tall, standing proud, and enduring.
See how she just wraps things up like that? Amy.
Thanks so much,
Thank
Raj.
you so much. And we be right back.
So therefore, the reason for the worship of the great harlot, according to the book of Revelations, which all the kings of this world after the flood have committed abominations with, as the book of Revelation says, which was actually written by Daniel, but a lot of people do not understand what he wrote because they are not high priests. The worship of this great harlot, of this demon that's called the Holy Spirit, because this woman was infused with so much demons, is those same demons that are in operation today. So for example, when you go to the Capitol building in the United States, you see an image of a statue of a woman. If you go to New York, you see the Statue of Liberty. When judgment is being given at the law courts, the image of anybody giving the judgment is of a woman standing. All right? All the kings of this earth have to commit abominations with this woman. We'll get into that in details on the shape of our world. For them to be kings, for them to be rulers, for them to have power. And how do they do it? Boy, well, you have to wait till you get to Shape of the World. If you're really interested in the truth, then you find out there. So this is why feminism, all right, and the so much adulation, all right, and elevation of women, all right, who become witches and wizards occur in Western society, because it's the worship of the great harlot. Do you understand now what's going on? So feminism in itself, as we've explained earlier, is the opposition of masculinity, because masculinity represents the creator. And Satan, in order to deceive humanity, went through Eve, the feminine. So this is why these people worship this harlot. And Chris Oyakhilome has a representation of the female vagina on his stage in which he's preaching and deceiving people that he's telling them about the Creator. We wish we could show you a picture of a female vagina to compare with this picture to show you, but we can't do it because now we can't present that kind of graphic information. But on the shape of our world, we'll clearly show you that. But here is not the video. So this is why feminism is preached, because it's in direct opposition to the Creator, brought about by the great harlot after the flood, which all the kings and anybody in any part or shape of the world who influences this world has to worship. Because when you do so, you have the power of demons. Do you think those guys just placed a statue of the liberty of a woman in New York for nothing? Do you see how huge that statue is? All right, let's continue with Legends of Roll Call. So, what you're looking at the screen is the passage of Leviticus chapter number 10 from verse 1 to verse 2. And we want to show you how the Creator considers playing around with weed, smoking or inhaling his vapors as very, very evil. Because as we have explained, every time you smoke weed, weed does nothing for you by smoking it. Because every time you smoke it, what happens is your body dissociates from your mind. When your body dissociates from your mind now has access to demons. And since you are not a high priest, you are imbibing demons into your life, which are going to send you straight to the lake of fire. And it was an abomination for anybody to smoke weed. Even the high priest did not smoke weed. So let me explain the idea, because we've explained it before, so you get a full understanding of what hemp, because it was called hemp, and from hemp that the crossbreeding of hemp with other plants produces cannabis, which is more toxic. All right, so the plant itself is called hemp. Hemp has been used for a lot of things. It has a lot of very good uses. So like I said, if you're in pain, you can cook the plant, eat it, all right? Use the oils, okay? Drink it, rub it on yourself. But once you turn it to THC and burn it, it no longer has any efficacy for you to help you in any way. What you are just imbibing is breaking a commandment that was an abomination. So, let me explain to you what the high priest did with hemp. So every morning in the temple in Jerusalem, when the high priest wakes up in the morning, he would kill either a goat or a lamb, all right? He could even possibly kill a cow, but cows mostly were supposed to be killed only once a year, when the high priest gathered all the remnants to himself and read the commandments of the Creator. According to scriptures and according to Christianity, they will tell you that the high priest went into the Holy of Holies only once a year. But this is a false lie from the pits of hell. The high priest was supposed to be in contact with the Creator, if there is such a thing as being in contact with the Creator 24 hours around the clock. But regardless, the high priest was supposed to be physically in contact with the Creator. But the high priest normally is in contact with the Creator 24 hours of the day, because the mind of the high priest is as the same mind as the mind of the Creator himself. So what does that mean? Whatever the Creator sees is what the high priest sees, because they're of the same mind. It's much more like saying that the Creator gave the high priest his mind. That is what happened with Adam. Adam, as a creation of the Creator, was created in his image. So that means everything the Creator was, he gave to Adam. If you give somebody everything that you are, that means whatever you can do, the person can also do. So this was what was instituted in the high priest office when the Creator created Adam. The Creator cannot do anything without a high priest, because the high priest is his representation. So what's the best way to explain it? The Creator cannot do anything without himself, and himself is the high priest. If you can understand that, then that's better. So the high priest is in contact with the Creator at all times. But in the Holy of Holies, all right, that is why the high priest did not go into the Holy of Holies once a year only, as the scriptures tell you, as Christianity, as preached by the scum of the earth in albinos, anybody with white hair teach you and tell you. The high priest was in the Holy of Holies every single day of his life until the day he died. So what the high priest would do every morning is this. When he wakes up in the morning, he would kill a goat, or he would kill a ram, or he would kill a cow. But as we've explained, the cows were mostly killed once a year, when the high priest gathered the remnants and read to them the commandments of the Creator. So, what the scriptures and what albinos, anybody with straight hair, supremacists, the scum of the earth, lie to you about is that the high priest went into the Holy of Holies once a year. This is not true. The high priest only poured the blood on the altar of incense once a year. So these are two different things from saying that the high priest went into the Holy of Holies only once a year, as albino supremacists, the people of Satan, lie to you and teach you. So the high priest was in the Holy of Holies every single day, because he always had to make sure that the fire at the altar of incense, which was made of weed or THC and other plants, and the 2 kidneys from a goat, a ram, or a cow, and the cow of the fat mixed with the THC would be burnt on the altar of incense day and night. So usually it took 2 goats, all right, to burn on the altar of incense with THC from marijuana, cannabis, or weed, as we should say. But if in any case the 2 kidneys that the high priest removed from a goat or a cow, all right, and the caul of the fat mixed with THC in marijuana weed, all right, stopped burning, the high priest was to kill another goat, take out the 2 kidneys, the caul of the fat, mix it with THC in marijuana or weed, as we should say it, or cannabis, and put it on the altar of incense and light a fire. So that means the high priest was in the Holy of Holies every single day. Not according as the white supremacist liars, the scum of the earth, tell you that he went into the Holy of Holies only once a year, as you will read in the Bible, or as you will read in the New Testament. This is false. So now, considering that fact, the reason why you're looking on the screen is because we are showing you how the Creator killed 2 high priests for burning of the THC, all right, on the altar of incense, which should actually be called the altar of THC or marijuana or weed, which is mixed with 2 kidneys from a goat, a ram, or a cow, and the caul of the fat to burn continually on that altar for a sweet smelling savor. Because the reason why all this was burnt was because the Holy of Holies was supposed to be filled with a sweet smell. And the combination of animal fat, caul of the fat, 2 kidneys, and the THC from marijuana or weed or cannabis would provide that sweet smell. So, the reason why you're looking on the screen is because 2 high priests, the sons of Aaron, were killed for burning THC or marijuana as people burn today and smoke weed. This is the reason why we want to show you that if 2 high priests were killed by the Creator for burning weed improperly, then you are far and more than condemned for smoking weed. Let's read now. It says, "And the 2 sons of Aaron, Nadab and Abihu, took each his censer, and put fire therein, and threw incense thereon, and offered strange fire before the Lord, which the Lord did not command them. And the fire came forth from the Lord and devoured them, and they died before the Lord. And Moses said to Aaron, This is the thing which the Lord spoke, saying, I will be sanctified among them that draw near to me, and I will be glorified in the whole congregation. And Aaron was pricked." So what the 2 sons of Aaron, who were high priests, did was this. When the high priest woke up early in the morning, he would kill a goat, a ram, or a cow, if it so pleased him to kill a cow. But cows were most only killed only once a year, and the blood was sprinkled on the altar of THC or marijuana or incense, as we should say it, only once a year. All right? This was the requirement because the cow symbolized a breaking of commandment offering. So that means breaking of commandment here means you breaking commandments that you can atone for by restitution. If you are to be forgiven for something you have done, you have to negate what you've done by paying back what you took or what you did. But any abomination that has to do with inbreeding, homosexuality, all right, bestiality, rape and pedophilia, and murder cannot be forgiven. You are going straight to the lake of fire. All right? So, that is the reason why the cow was used in symbology, and we'll explain all of that in the shape of a word, but not on this video. Was used in symbology for the blood to be poured around the altar of incense only once a year. So, but early in the morning, the high priest would wake up, kill a goat or ram, take the 2 kidneys from the ram or goat, take the caul of the fat, which is on top of the kidneys, all right? He would take it down to the altar of incense. He would put THC or marijuana weed, as he would call it, all right, and mix it with other spices which would give a sweet perfume, and he would burn it on the altar. And this was to be burnt day and night. So usually 2 goats would serve that purpose. But if the 2 goats or 1 goat ran out quick, the high priest was to kill another goat and create the same mixture to burn on the altar of incense. But here is what the 2 high priests of the sons of Aaron did. Now let's read again. It says, "And the 2 sons of Aaron, Nadab and Abihu, took each his censer." What does it mean to take each his censer? It's more like somebody wrapping weed up. Okay? They took each his censer and put fire therein and threw incense thereon and offered strange fire before the Lord, which the Lord did not command them. All right? So they took their censer. All right? That means a holding that was not placed on the altar. Everything was to be placed on the altar of THC or marijuana or weed or incense, as you would call it. But here they held it in their own holding in their palms, in the palms of their hands. That means they had a small container, just like people smoke weed today using a bong. They put it inside the bong and mix everything up and burn it. So this is what the two sons of Aaron who were high priests did. And it says that when they did that, pay attention, when they did that, fire came out of that censer, all right, and killed all of them. So fire came out of the weed that they were holding in the palms of their hands, or the bong, as you smoke it today with a bong, and killed them. Why? Because when you smoke weed, all right, when you smoke weed, it detaches your mind from your body and you become an influence of demons. So this is why it was an abomination. And immediately, the two high priests and the sons of Aaron did that. They were condemned in the Holy of Holies. They died. That is how abominable it is for you to smoke weed. So this is a restitutable, right, abomination. And now that you have known it today, because you have heard it from my mouth, I am not a high priest. I'm just passing information. As long as you have heard it today and you deny it, you are going straight to the lake of fire. So this is an example to show you that a high priest was killed for burning THC, weed, marijuana improperly in the Holy of Holies. What do you think is going to happen to you? Let's continue on with Legends of Roll Call. So, getting back to what we were saying right here, hip hop, all right, in itself was used to promote the 9 abominations which we have showed you so far. So that's why we laid the foundation before we got to this particular segment, because we want you to get the proper order of how things progress. So when we arrive at where we're going, it will be very clear to you. So besides the fact there are 9 abominations, all right, if anybody is ignorant, because the reason why evil progresses and succeeds is because of ignorance. The reason for the educational system, the reason for the schools, the reason for the medical sciences, the reason for the medical institution and hospitals is for ignorance. When white supremacy started, white people, albinos, anybody with straight hair were always sick because albinism is a sickness in itself. But in order to prop up white supremacy, the medical institution was created, okay, to help albinos to stay strong. But that help for albinism has ended.
Fairer skin has been in favor for the past, couple of hundreds of years. But now the pendulum is swung back. Black is in fashion.
Pardon me, I'm gonna take some pictures.
Sure thing.
Why? Because the reign of Satan physically in the earth, in which people will see Satan physically, is about to begin. So that means everybody else is collateral to make sure that the chaotic world which is being made right now, in which there is trouble everywhere, because all this is designed by Satan, is not of the Creator. Because the way the Trinity works is that there must be chaos for there to be order. The chaos is to bring everyone into a single mindset in which Satan can introduce to them the artificial intelligence chip, so that when they see Satan, they will think he is not Satan, he's somebody else, because that's the idea. Because people still have a little bit of common sense no matter how evil they are. But that common sense has to be eradicated such that they cannot make any useful decision for themselves when they see Satan. So the medical institution which was created to help albinism, to prop up albinos, the scum of the earth, right? To make us believe that they are superior and make us believe in this false idea of white supremacy has ended. So the medical institution is now a collateral. It was first used to poison blacks, to make sure that they would not see that the only people in hospitals are always albinos, but that has ended now. So albinos now are collateral. And you're going to find out as we get into Legends of Roll Call fully. So, the 9 abominations that we mentioned to you, in which if anybody does the 5 of them, are going to the lake of fire, and 4 of them are redeemable. Outside of those, if someone remains ignorant, okay? There are people who come in and think, okay, I don't really care about the truth or what he's saying. They just remain indifferent about everything. They go with the flow or they remain indifferent. If you're ignorant and you do not know your left from your right, you are going to the lake of fire. So I want you to listen very carefully now. If you are stubborn, what does stubborn mean? There are people who are defiantly stubborn for nothing. They see the truth right in front of their face, all right? But they refuse to acknowledge it. They are just stubborn over anything and everything. If you're stubborn for good, for what is correct and right, that's a different case. That means you do not want to change your character because you know this is the way things ought to be. That is not stubbornness. It means that you are going after the commandments of the Creator. Sticking to the commandments of the Creator, keeping it, doing it, no matter how hard it is not being stubborn. But anything else outside of that, you know the truth. You know what you should do for yourself to be healthy. You know what you should do for yourself to be strong. But you refuse it. And you're stubborn. You are going to the lake of fire. If you are in any way, shape, or form unable to make clear, logical decisions, you have an inability to think. You have no common sense, all right? You can't think about things logically and correctly. You are going to the lake of fire. So what does that mean? Let's say, for example, right now, okay? You have heard the fact that we've talked to you about the fact that if you have tattoos and you have piercings, and if you dress in any way that does not show your gender, that you are going to the lake of fire, and you are unable to make changes about that, you are going to the lake of fire. That is the truth. If you're mad and crazy, you see all the mad people on the streets, okay? The mad people on the streets, someone will say they're mad. They don't have any idea. They're unable to think for themselves. Their minds are not with them. We should help them. If anyone is mad or crazy, it means the person is totally infested with demons. That means it's a domicile of demons. You are going to the lake of fire. If you cannot figure out the truth, if you do not follow after the truth, you do it today, all right? You're not consistent. You do it today, you forget it tomorrow, you do it the day after. If you're inconsistent about the truth in your life, because once you're inconsistent about the truth, it means that you're busy not keeping or doing the commandments every single day. You are going to the lake of fire. This is the obvious truth. Because a lot of people get on the channel and they just sit and watch. If you're not able to reason or think, all they notice are transgenders. If you are one of those people and you have not spent the time or figured out a way to make a consistent plan to know the truth that we tell you wholly, know the name of the Creator, right? Know what His commandments are. And you think that spending money to get the materials that we provide for you is a waste of your time, or that you have some sort of truth just because you are listening to Tricks of the S Trade, you are going to the lake of fire. So I want you to understand that now clearly. So the reason why you're looking at the screen right now and you're reading something about the model called Daphne Joy, which we have been told is the baby mama of 50 Cent, the rapper called 50 Cent. is because we're trying to show you that everything that has to do with hip hop was only created to make sure that all the abominations of the earth is made into popular culture. That's why hip hop is called hip hop culture, all right? And people do not understand. So let me give you a little background of the history of hip hop, all right? Now, in the remnant, there is an art form in which the remnant is as old as time itself, in which they would speak and the drum would play, okay? Or some sort of instrument would play, and they would talk. And when they would talk, they would give some sort of like proverbial speech or give some sort of information, because it's an ancient practice in which the remnant used to pass information in a public gathering in their market squares, because mostly the remnants used to meet way back in the day during the period of time on a Tuesday. So on that Tuesday, what usually happened was any information in which maybe the high priest wanted to pass on, he would pass on to the leaders of the clan. The leaders of the clan would now gather the people on the market day, which was on a Tuesday, and then the person who's providing the speech, all right, would probably, drums would be beating, some sort of instrumentation would go on, and the person would be talking over those drum beats, okay? So this was a custom of the ancient remnants. Now, this custom has not totally died out. Some people still practice it even in the remnant ethnicity still till today, all right? Now, this is the practice that was now passed and imbibed as hip hop. So that is how hip hop came to be. So Satan took what was used to pass information, okay, in the remnants, in the people of scripture, and flipped it overside to use that same tool to now corrupt humanity and to make sure that abominations which they were supposed to stay away from became normal in society. So hip hop in itself promotes all the abominations that we talk about. So for example, you hear in hip hop, they talk about murder, killing someone. It's almost in every song, all right? They slay, they kill. You hear that? We slay that. It's a common terminology. This is which language being promoted through hip hop. You hear people say, we slay it, or we slayed it, or we killed it. When they're talking about stuff that they have totally, all right, maybe done well. They say, we killed it today. Or they say, we slayed it on the red carpet. This is all which terminology to promote abominations. Because people don't understand which language. What do you think they are saying when they say that? Because Satan, right from time, was a murderer. So he has to promote murder through every avenue around you. Now, continuing on in hip hop, they promote all the abominations. All the abominations that people would never ever imagine. Why? Because we are at the end of time. Evil has to mature, and when it matures, it has to be seen. All right? Because when you grow something on a farm, you have the plants that you physically put in the soil, the seed of those plants for it to grow, for it to become a crop, and then you can harvest from it, okay? Weeds also grow. So people don't understand the heavenly concept of the Creator. So when weeds grow in a farm, as the plants are growing, you do not remove the weeds when the plants are tender. Because if the plants and crops have not matured, when they're still growing very young and you remove the weeds, you might also destroy the good crops because they are not mature and not strong enough. People who do farming know this. That is the reason why we keep on telling you, you have to get back to agriculture. It's the only way you're going to know the truth about what's going on in our world. And we've been saying that for donkey years now. We've been on YouTube now close to maybe like 5 years or 4 years as per se. And everything that we've said, the idiots who watch just watch and think they learn something but never do it. They never go after the truth. If you do not follow after the truth, you're inconsistent and find it for yourself, you are going to the lake of fire. If you find the truth and you can't do it, you are going to the lake of fire. So if anybody who's into agriculture would know that when you plant your crops and they start growing and there is weeds, you do not unpluck them immediately because the plants are tender. The roots are not strong. You allow them to continue growing until when they reach maturity. All right? When they reach maturity, then you can come in and now start removing the weeds. Because now there's going to be a clear distinction between the weeds and the crops. So you will not make any mistake to uproot your crops while trying to uproot the weeds. So this is what is going on in the world when people ask, okay, why is there so much evil, homosexuality? Everything on TV is homosexual now. Even things that you wouldn't expect it to be, and they put it in because the time has arrived in which evil has matured. So you have now eyes to clearly see who is evil and who is not. And this is what we are also continuing to present to you on Legends of Roll Call. So hip hop was the tool to make sure that whosoever was hiding in his or her closet, right, and was a hidden homosexual will come out of it and people would see. So hip hop music and the hip hop culture only promotes Satanism. And everybody who is in hip hop is a Satanist. They worship the Trinity. If you notice in hip hop, they wear a lot of crosses on their necks and on their ears. What do you think that's about? Because it's Satanism, because people don't understand what the Trinity is all about. And we're going to show you on The Shape of a World. So, hip hop has nothing good in it. So, everybody in hip hop is a homosexual. As long as you have a label contract, right? And we're going to explain on this particular series, on this homosexual part, what it means to actually sell your soul, because everything you know about that sentence is very, very wrong. It's told to you in a specific reason to divert your attention from the truth. Now, the one other statement that I'm going to make right now before we continue is this. Everybody on YouTube, all right, that you pay attention to, all right, that gives you information and say they are truthers, they are all working for albino supremacists. And they are not telling you one single truth, because if you've understood anything that we've said, right, up to this point, you will understand that the way deception works is this, is presenting to you a picture, right? And is giving you an assumption about that picture. So everybody on YouTube who is trying to tell you the truth, they say they are giving you information. All what they are doing is selling you a deception, because the whole entire gamut of YouTube is controlled and run by people who are not high priests. So as long as the person is not a high priest, they are incapable of telling you the truth. All what they are selling to you is a deception, because nobody is able to tell you the truth except a high priest. When you understand this, then you throw away everybody you've listened to on YouTube. You throw away every information that you've read out of a book. You throw away every information that you've ever been told by someone who is imposing themselves as a high priest. Because if you're not a high priest, you're functioning under the power of the demon called the Holy Spirit, which is a woman, which we presented to you. So if you're listening to anybody who is not a high priest, the only thing you're getting is a deception. So everybody on YouTube is telling you a lie. Now someone's gonna say, but he told me something. and it was true. And when I looked it up, it was true. It happened. Because you're a dumb, stupid, ignorant person who refuses to go after the truth. Because if you've been on a channel for as long as you have been right now, and you have not made an attempt to get up and go after and find out what we're talking about, because a lot of people think that all what we're saying on the videos is all what is in the book. Boy, imagine this right now. Up till today, you've never heard anybody tell you that the water that they tell you to drink, the very water that the medical institution tells you to drink, that water is good for you, they have never told you for one day that water is made of carbon and oxygen. How do you expect them to tell you the truth about anything else if they lie about the very water that you drink? Because of covering up for white supremacy, albino supremacy, the scum of the earth supremacy, to make you believe that water is white. Because everything that has to do with blackness, they have to lie about it if they are to remain in power. So if they can lie to you about water, what is truth? What truth do you think they tell you? Because the way deception works means it must give you something to identify as truth. And let me explain that further right now. If someone comes to you right now and tell you that the sun doesn't shine every morning, all right? Every other statement he makes after that, you're bound to question it. Because the foundation for what he's telling you first and foremost is a lie. But if he tells you that the sun shines every day, all right? Just like the scientists tell you the sun shines every day. Everybody can see that the sun shines every day. And then they tell you that the sun rises in the east and sets in the west, which is a lie. Why did you believe the sun rises in the east? Because the foundation for the lie that they told you was based on truth. The sun shines every day. So that is how deception works. Somebody is going to tell you a little bit of truth, which is going to be like 5% of the whole entire story. And because you believe that 5%, you believe that the 95% of lies that he's telling you is actually the truth. Look at the Bible that we've presented to you. Nobody has ever took time to show you or make you understand that the New Testament is a fabrication. And that there is no such thing as an Old and New Testament, that you have one testament. That's it. If the testament was to be defined as anything, the one thing they would say is that the testament was a promise, and then the testament became fulfilled. Why was it a promise? Because when the Creator made a promise to Abraham to give him the whole world and his descendants, who are the remnant, he made it as a non-human being, but as what you would call a mindful being who had no form, which no one could see. But when the Creator came to Jerusalem, came unto the remnant as the chief high priest into his house in the temple in Jerusalem and lived there, he fulfilled that promise. Because when you make promises to someone, it has to be a physicality. You have to be a physical person. You don't make a promise to someone when you do not exist physically. Promises are consummated when the person who makes the promise appears physically and signs it into law, and it becomes a structure that's set up. So if there was anything that the testament should be called, it should be a testament of a promise and a testament fulfilled. There's nothing as a New Testament. Because when you say there is a New Testament, that the promise that you made beforehand no longer does exist, that means you're making a new promise now. So the whole entire time, the person who was living on a promise was living a fake life. That is what it means. You just wasted that person's time. It's just like telling a woman, all right, I am going to marry you, and you engage her, and you guys stay engaged for 10 years. At the end of 10 years, you now tell her you want to make a new engagement. And that new engagement means that whatsoever promises that you made, all right, at the start of your engagement with her, which she has lived with you for 10 years or 20 years or 30 years, no matter how long the promise is, it means that you've wasted that whole entire time. You make that woman waste 40 years, 20 years, 30 years of her life for nothing. Because now you want to make a new promise. Does that make sense? So there's no such thing as an Old Testament and a New Testament. What the Creator made was a promise, just like He would promise a woman to marry her. And you engage her for maybe 20 years, 30 years, and 40 years. And at the end of the day, you marry her. That promise is fulfilled. That is what the scriptures are about. So there is no such thing as an Old and a New Testament. What the scum of the earth, albino, anybody with straight hair, supremacists did was try to make you understand and make you believe that the Levitical priesthood is no longer around, that it is dead, so they could sell to you Christianity. This is what the New Testament portion of the Bible was about. Because if you notice, the only people who could be high priests were the remnant, right? I want you to pay attention now to my words. The only people who could be high priests were only the remnant. In a nutshell, or in the words that you guys understand, the children of Israel, a high priest could only come from Israel, right? What happened after the fake holy demon, which is worshipped as the vagina of the woman, which is called the womb of the divine, that gave birth to God? What happened when it came on the day of Pentecost, which is false? Everybody received the holy demon. And when the Israelites went and preached to the Gentiles, the demons also came on them, which is called the Holy Spirit, right? That is exactly the idea that Christianity was trying to present. That anybody, you don't have to come from the tribe of Levi in the remnants, who are the only people who could be priests. But as long as you have this holy demon and believe, and you speak in tongues of the holy demon, that means you yourself could also speak for the Creator. That is what the New Testament was all about. And they set the New Testament up by writing books and imputing stuff into certain books in the Old Testament, making a prophecy, right? Making a fake prophecy that a holy demon would come upon the Gentiles. The Creator never had anything to do with the Gentiles. Never. His only concern was with the remnant, who are His people. Because once you do not practice and do the commandments of the Creator, you are not part of Israel. That is the way it works. There is no way by your holy demon that you can become a part of that just because you believe and speak certain words. It's not true, because as we have presented it to you on this particular video, apples cannot change to oranges. It's not possible. An apple tree is still an apple tree right from the day of creation today. It hasn't changed. A lion is still a lion right from the day of creation till today. It hasn't changed. A Gentile cannot become an Israelite. It's not possible. If a Gentile becomes an Israelite, it means that right from time, he has always been an Israelite. And his parents, right, his lineage was of an Israelite. But he got lost in the Gentile nations. And when he became born, he heard the truth, the commandments. He kept the commandments of the Creator. showing that the person who impregnated his mother right from time was an Israelite. That is how it works. A Gentile cannot become an Israelite. If the person follows after, keeps the commandments, does the commandments of the Creator, it means that at some point in time in his lineage, his father or mother was an Israelite. So he's only going back to his roots. That is what it means. It just looks like the best way to explain this is this. Someone gave birth to a baby, right? And someone else adopted the baby. When the baby gets of age and becomes mature, he or she finds out who her true parents were, and she goes back home. That is what it means. If someone who is not of the remnant, all right, does the commandments and keeps the commandments of the Creator, it means that in his history, his father was of the remnant. When you understand that everything produces after its kind, all right, then you can get to understand how Edom was not of the lineage of the Creator. Because anybody who is of the lineage of the Creator will not despise his birthright. Edom did not want anything to have to do with being a high priest. Because the right of the firstborn, which they do not tell you in the Bible, means the right to become high priest, the right of being high priest, the one whom the Creator speaks to, the one whom is chosen to speak for the Creator. That is what it means. And Edom hated everything. This is what the scriptures don't show you. So Edom, even though he was born of Isaac, was estranged, all right, from being a part of the Creator. So continuing on, anytime a high priest gives birth to children, his children are priests. If they practice and do the commandments of the Creator, it really shows that they are as of a lineage of the Creator. Because remember, if you read in the Testament, it says, "You shall become to me a priesthood and a holy nation." Do you understand that? So if Abraham gave birth to these nations, okay, these nations of the original Arabs, these nations of the original Ethiopians, all right, and the remnants, out of the remnants came forth what they call the high priest. Only the remnant could have the high priest, because that was the right of the firstborn, the right to be high priest, the lineage of the priesthood, which was established right from Adam, from Enoch to Noah. Pay attention now. From Noah to Shem, from Shem to Abraham. From Abraham, the high priest lineage now got passed into the father of Moses, and every descendant whom the father of Moses gave birth to became high priests, of which Aaron and Miriam were his children, including Moses. So that is how the high priest lineage is tracked. Does that make sense? So what happens is this: when someone keeps the commandments of the Creator, practices the commandments, and does not destroy the natural order of the commandments, what he or she is identifying as is that he or she was born of the lineage of the Creator, traced from Adam, but not a high priest. So that's why the distinction was made in Israel, that there was a Levitical priesthood, and inside the Levitical priesthood were the high priests. So that is what happens when someone, okay, keeps and does the commandments of the Creator. They are not changing from Gentile to Israel. They are just proving that they were born of a lineage, all right, of Israel, but they are in a different nation. That's all what it means. So an apple tree cannot give birth to an orange. It's not possible. That is just what it means. So the best way to explain this is, for example, that a farmer, right, has some corn, okay? And he takes the corn and plants it in the field, all right? And when he plants the corn in the field, the seeds of corn in the field, there's also a bean seed which he did not see. So the bean seed grows among the corn, identifying itself as a bean seed among the corn. It was never part of the corn. So if someone who is not a remnant or identify as the ethnicity of the remnant, let's say the person is maybe a Black American, okay? Or the person, let's say, is maybe a South African. Or let's say the person is a Ghanaian. Or say the person is Nigerian. Or say the person is Ethiopian, all right? And the person follows after the commandments of the Creator and keeps it. It does identify that he is of the lineage of the Creator. He just got lost in those nations. He was just born there. So the same example that I just used, it just means the bean seed okay, among the corn is not part of the corn. It just happened to grow on the same field as the corn. That is what it means. So there is no way that if you were evil can change to become good. That is how it works. So do not let Christianity ever lie to you that someone can change from being a homosexual to not being one. It is not possible. If you're a homosexual, it means your father right from time, because this is what they don't teach you. Your father right from time was a homosexual, and he gave birth to you as a homosexual. So any homosexual in any family, or anybody who's practicing any of the abominations, a murderer, someone who kills, it means his father right from time was a murderer. And you can trace it all the way back to who? To Satan. That is what it means. If someone inbreeds, what does it mean? Their father was inbreeding. You can trace this all back to Satan. That is what it means. Because people don't know that. And when people hear that word Satan, they say, "Ooh, Satan? You mean Satan as in Satan? What do you think I'm talking about?" But as we've said, listening to this video is going to serve a lot of confusion because people don't understand the meaning of the word Satan. They're just banding it about. And we're not here to explain it for you. When you want to understand, you will get into the concealed mystery. But for now, let's continue with what we were trying to explain to you earlier. That everybody in hip hop is a homosexual. It does not matter what name they come in. KRS-One, as long as they have a label, signed to a label, they are homosexual. Now, someone's going to ask why. Because homosexuality is the rite of passage to worship of the Trinity. Because the way the power structure of this world is set up, you have to belong to the families of the worshippers of the Trinity for you to be anything, for you to have any influence in society, for you to have money. So if you see Drake coming out and being on top of the world, or you see people like Jay-Z, or Wesley Snipes, or Michael Jackson, or Janet Jackson, or Celine Dion, or Tom Cruise, or any of the so-called celebrities that you see, all right? They all worship the Trinity and belong to the families that have always worshipped the Trinity. And so homosexuality, because remember this, homosexuality is a rite of passage. That is how this worldly system works. So when you see on hip hop, how everything about hip hop looks perverse, you see men dressing as females in dresses. You see that in popular culture. Kevin Hart puts on a dress, all right? Dave Chappelle says he's not going to do it, but that does not mean that he's not part of the Trinity. Because for him to get that level of success, he has to engage in the rite of passage. But to confuse you onlooker here so you do not see what's really going on, all right? They don't tell you. He'll come out and say he's not going to put on a dress. It's a deception. He's engaging in other forms of perversion. That's how it works. And he's also engaging in homosexuality, but not publicly. So that you guys should know of how the system works. So you see people like Oprah. You see people like Larry King. You see people like the man who had Playboy. Everybody in that sphere that has anything to do with success which you can identify with, including pastors. Including pastors like Benny Hinn, including pastors like T.D. Jakes, Creflo Dollar, Robert Patterson of the 700 Club, Kenneth Copeland, this man in Texas, what's his name right here? Joel Osteen and the rest. They are all in the worship of the Trinity, of which the main figure of the Trinity is the harlot, all right? That's called the womb of the divine. They all worship this holy vagina or womb of the divine. That is why there is so much feminism in Christianity, all right? That is why you have such a thing as Trinity Broadcasting Network, on which all these pastors appear. So anybody who is in a power of influence has to be a homosexual for them to succeed. That is why Christianity preaches that you should love everybody. But people do not understand that. The Creator never said that. You cannot love everybody. You don't love thieves. If someone steals from you, are you going to say, "Oh, I love you. Thank you very much. Come into my house. Sit right with me. I have $1 million over there." Are you going to do that? This is how stupid and brainwashed the ignorant are, because they refuse common sense, logic, and truth. If someone tries to kill you, you should forgive them for trying to kill you. Supposing they try to do it again, what are you going to do? That is the stupidity of Christianity, because it was all designed by Satan to make you people to see evil as good, to condone it. And when you condone it, it means you're a part of the evil. And the same judgment that's coming on the evildoers is coming on you. Do you understand now why only 8 people got saved in the flood? Because they all thought that they were doing great. Because here's something that you have to understand, people. A lot of people say they are good people, but all good people are going to the lake of fire. I want you to hear those words now. All good people are going to the lake of fire. They are not going to heaven, and we do not go to heaven, by the way. Because the commandment does not say you should do good. It says you shall not do wickedness. So if somebody says he's a good man, he's a nice man, there are going to be a lot of nice, good people in the lake of fire. Because the commandment is not you should do good. It says you shall not do wickedness. Do you see the difference? The very word good in itself, let me give you the history of the word good. The very word good comes from what? It comes from the word God. And the word God means Satan. Now, we don't have time to explain how that word came to be God, because its original pronunciation was not God. It was in a language that is called, and we're not going to say what the name of the language is. You can get on The Shape of a World and get that. But the meaning of the word meant Lord and Master, which is the same word as God. Now, the word God is hyphenated because certain people couldn't pronounce it properly, so they had to pronounce it with a heavy G, and it became God. So God in itself means Satan. So the word good comes from saying God. Is the same word. Both words are the same. So anybody who's saying that they are doing good is going to the lake of fire. The commandment says you shall not do wickedness. So you're running in the totally opposite direction. Not doing wickedness and doing good are two different things. That is why there's so much evil going on in the world, because people are doing good. Because when you do good, it means there's a presence of wickedness. You have done evil. Does that make sense? That is just what it means. So for example, the government taxes you, right? And during the beginning of the year, when you go and file your taxes, they give you a little bit of it back. All right? Someone at that point in time will say the government is good, but the government have stolen billions of money from you and then gave you like 1% of it. So because they've been doing so much wickedness, all right, they now give you a little portion of it back. So you see the government as good instead of the wicked things that they are. This is the obvious truth. So every time you do good, it means there's a presence of evil. But if you do not do wickedness, you don't have to do good to anybody. I want you to imagine that for a second. If the whole entire world were not wicked, there would not be a need to do good, because everybody would have what they would ought to have. That is the obvious truth. If you're not lying and stealing from everybody in your workplace, because all the jobs that we do has made us to be professional liars and thieves. Everybody would have something for themselves. But that is not possible in this world. Because why? The only thing the Creator told all of us so that Satan would not make the world to be as wicked as it is, was to go and plant your own crops, grow your own food and animals. If everybody were to engage with that, right, there would be no wickedness. There would be no need to do good, because everybody would have something to feed off of. And they wouldn't have to go to work for Satan and lie legally. Because all jobs have made us liars, to bear false witness against one another to move along. That is what happens in society. If we were all to plant and grow our own food, we would not need to be engaged in all this terrible work that we are doing, which is only making wickedness to prevail. And every year they tell you, go and give some money to charity. All right? Or this organization that you work for gave to charity, they did some good. But they've committed so much evil by stealing from the poor. And who are the poor in this world? Black people. Let's continue on. So, what you're looking at the screen, and the person that we are going to do a first transvestigation into and show you that hip-hop was created to make sure that the abominable lifestyle will be practiced as a norm, because people do not understand how psychology works. Let me make you understand this today. So let's say, for example, that you love 50 Cent or any hip-hop artist out there, all right? You love his music, or you love Michael Jackson, or anybody in popular culture that's doing something in popular culture that has to do with entertainment. What you are doing is accepting the lifestyle of that person. And there's going to be a rub-off. What does that mean, rub-off? 50 Cent has so many songs, good songs, like the popular one that's called I think it's Your Birthday, all right? If you go humming that song or playing that music and loving it without any filter, what you're imbibing is every energy that was put into that song, as we showed you earlier, okay? That all music transfers energy. So every energy that was put into that song, because every drum beat, every rhythm was carefully crafted to make sure that it passes information to your body and triggers your mind to do things that you would naturally do if you are a child of Satan. That is what is going on. So remember what we told you. Everything around you serves as a trigger for your mind. So if you listen to that hip hop beat presented to you by any of your rappers or any of the hip hop artists, all the energy that was carefully crafted into the music gets transferred to you. So if you were a hidden homosexual, all right, it starts triggering in you homosexual ideas, because that is what the music is for. It's all designed by Satan to put you in a trance and control your mind. It's the same thing with a movie, because people do not understand the concept of how things work in this world, because they just don't want you to know. Because if you know, you would sit up, all right, and say, okay, I shouldn't do things this way, I should do things the other way. So they don't teach you real knowledge and real information. So everything around you serves as a trigger. So you wear certain clothes, it makes you feel a certain way. You understand that? And women understand what I'm talking about. You put on a lingerie, what is the mindset that comes with you wearing a lingerie? Or you put on certain things, it acts as a trigger. You eat certain foods, it acts as a trigger. You hear certain information, it acts as a trigger for your mind. The same way with the music. So now let's say, for example, because I have made you understand loud and clear that 50 Cent is a homosexual, all right? So many examples I can show you. If you watch the series called Power, there is an episode there in Power in which 50 Cent goes naked and masturbates on live TV on front of camera. Why would a grown man remove his penile organ on live TV and show you if he is not a homosexual? Let me show you one more picture of 50 Cent right now. So here is a picture of 50 Cent right now. Just looking at this picture alone, what information is it giving you? This is a very effeminate looking picture. Because all what hip hop is trying to make you see is to make sure that if you were a hidden homosexual, you come out as one. The masculinity it's feigning to you, it's effeminate masculinity. It is not of the creator. It is fake machismo, effeminate. So this is what happens, as you have heard us say now, that everyone in hip hop, all right, who has some sort of contract or on a label, they're all homosexuals. Now, 50 Cent has not publicly said he's a homosexual, but by his actions, as we're going to prove to you, as we have just told you, and we've just made you understand that the worship of the Trinity means that you have to engage in homosexuality to get that power, because how power is gotten from Satan is that every time you break the commandments of the Creator by not doing it and you practice abominations, you have the more power of demons now attached to you. Okay? And demons are white. Now, if you've ever watched any movie, you have like movies like on TV that has anything to do with ghosts. What color are ghosts represented in movies or anything that has to do with media portrayal of a ghost? They are always in white. Because even though they tell you there are ghosts, there is no such things as ghosts. What you have is a demon. Let's pull a picture just to show you that. So for those who celebrate Halloween or watch TV, or if you've ever watched the movie called Ghosts, what color are those ghosts? They're white. If you remember Ghostbusters, what color were they wearing? What color of the ghosts? The color is white. Because all what we're trying to show you right here is this is exactly what demons look like. the people, the governments who make the movies that you watch and present all the media that you read about know this. So the more evil that you do, the more of these demons that you attract. The more of these demons that you attract, the more they distort things to happen for you that it looks like it's the creator at work when it's not the creator. This is how the system works. Because everything that has to do with white is evil. Okay? So, for you guys who celebrate the evil holiday called Halloween, you will know this image that you're looking at. And let's show you another picture for you to understand that this is the truth that we're talking about. That everything that has to do with evil is white. Here is an image of Ghostbusters, which you would find maybe on the Ghostbuster insignia in the movie called Ghostbusters. It's a white person inside. Why? Because it's evil. As you can see, it says Bill Murray, Dan Aykroyd, Sigourney Weaver, Ghostbusters. Because everything that has to do with white is evil. And demons, which are called ghosts, because it's not actually a ghost. When someone is dead, he's dead. He doesn't come back to life. He doesn't reappear to you. If you see anything of that person, that is a demon called ghosts. So getting back to what we said. So 50 Cent is a hidden homosexual. All right. Now, the music that he makes as a hip hop artist, because here's one thing you have to understand. If your mind is filled with demons, what do you think everything that you do is going to portray? It's going to carry demonic energy. So your thoughts, your words, right, are filled with those demons. The creativity that you use to write songs or rap about it is filled with demons. This is how the system works. So 50 Cent right now worships the Trinity. We all know that. He's a homosexual, right? Because no man should get on live TV and pull out his penile organ and start masturbating. What are you trying to show to the public? You're only trying to show that you're a homosexual by doing that. Because that is what homosexuals do. So he goes into the studio now, makes a song, raps about the song, produces a beat. The producer who's producing the music, all right, is also a homosexual. The engineering mixer is also a homosexual. The people on the label are all homosexuals. So the product in the music that they present out from all that homosexual activity, what do you think it's going to be about? It's all carrying demonic energy of demons. So when you play this music and you listen to it, because you do not have any filter of what you're listening to, all right? You have opened your mind up for the music to penetrate you. Before long, because you have been a hidden homosexual, you start having homosexual thoughts and you wonder where is it coming from, but you don't know where it came from. And before long, because you're now having homosexual thoughts, because the music has transferred energy into your body, you now look at a man and you say, oh, does a man look like that? And before long, you start engaging in homosexual activity. This was the design of hip-hop culture, to promote every form of abomination in the worship of the Trinity, which is known as Father, Son, and Mother, which everybody in Christianity goes after, thinking that they are worshiping the Creator. This is the age-old religion, Mystery Babylon, the harlot. Everything we've said on this video, we have not said anything yet, because even though today on YouTube you see a lot of videos which tell you that people in the hip-hop industry or music industry are into homosexuality. Homosexuality is far more a cover for something more sinister that it will shock you to your, I don't even know how to explain it. When you watch The Shape of a World, you will see that. Okay? This is what the kings of this world have protected for so many years. The learned elders of Zion protected, the rich and the wealthy protected. They knew that when this information comes out, they are done. It's a wrap. There's going to be no hiding place for all of them, because now people with eyes to see will vividly see who and what they really are. So hip hop, music, and every art form which is not of the Creator was created to inspire in you, if you are a child of Satan, to do more abominations. So for example, 50 Cent wears tattoos. He said he's taken some of them off lately, but that doesn't really matter, because now you have more people who are tatted up, and tattooing yourself is an abomination. You've marked yourself for Satan. In hip hop, they talk about drug use, smoking weed. Why would they pass all this information to you? Because they want you, if you're a child of Satan, to make sure that you go to the lake of fire, and this is what will happen. Hip hop inspires homosexuality. You have men dressed as effeminate, looking pretty, wearing jewelry, having long hair, wearing earrings. What is it trying to portray to you? Because every time you say you like someone, you have to follow what they do. This is the obvious truth. If you like someone, you have to accept what they do, you have to accept their lifestyle, and you have to practice it too. So go figure. So hip hop is inspiring every abomination. It inspires murder. You hear on the songs as they talk about killing people. All right? Why? Because it wants to make sure that if you were a hidden murderer, all right, that genetic was hiding, it will come out forth. This is what is going on, so that all the children of Satan will go to hell in the lake of fire. Hip hop inspires bad language because it wants you to speak the bad language and to do it. It inspires all form of immorality and degeneration. Everything. Because it was designed and geared to make sure that the children of Satan, which make up 90% of the world population, if they were hiding in your closets and doing evil, that they will come out and clearly be identified, because the time of the harvest has arrived. And the weeds, the children of Satan, have to be removed, so that everybody who is a child of the Creator can now clearly identify who is of Satan. That is what hip hop was designed for. Let's continue on with Legends of Roll Call.